I've got three thank yous to start with. First of all, thank you for staying awake this morning. I am the last of the presenters, so I'm very appreciative. I'm also very thankful that you're allowing me to deliver this in English. But what else were you going to do on a grey, wet day on a Tuesday but listen to all these wonderful presentations? Thank you also to the fellow presenters. It really shows me, as an operator within corporate finance, within investment banking, it shows me that the health of these Baltic markets is absolutely present by the messages we've heard this morning. And the third thank you, and possibly the most important, goes to Nasdaq. You sophisticated individuals, you all know how important the work that Nasdaq has done in this region is. But I think generally in the Baltic region, as we're going to come on to discuss in the next few minutes, a lot of people don't understand that there is a world-class capital market already here, and indeed in Tallinn and Riga. And part of my job is to evangelize, and I don't apologize for using that word, as to the fact that these capital markets are fit for purpose, they're ready to expand, the factory's already built, and we will play our small part, and as I hope you'll see in the coming minutes, to take that forwards. The opportunity to do equity, debt, collective fund transactions with that Nasdaq brand is present. So those are my three thank yous. Three bits of good news as well. First of all, my presentation is very short. Second of all, as I said, lunch is coming. And then, third of all, what I hope to leave you with is a really simple message to introduce our name to you, because we are listing on Nasdaq First North in Q3 of this year. So really all I want to do is just position Salomon Securities with you so that as an investment opportunity in financial services, our name is lodged in your brains. And that's why I asked Simona if I could talk last. So without further ado, by the way, I'm very bad at staying in one place, so I'm going to move a bit, so just forgive me. My children hate me because I can't keep still for more than 2 minutes. My name is Simon Davies. I am CEO and founder of Salomon. Looking around the room, those of you probably older than 35 will know the Salomon name. We are directly by lineage linked to Salomon Brothers. That was the Wall Street house founded in 1910. How? Well, I bought Salomon Brothers, the IP, the brand, the business in Europe. I wanted their brand. I knew the Salomon family since the early 1990s when I lived in New York. And so when we need to get a meeting anywhere in the world in financial markets, please forgive me, we get it. Because that brand still carries a century or more of reputation, and it is our job to propel that. I really like simple businesses, and that is all we do. Our job is to bring primarily English-speaking corporates into the Baltics. And I'm going to talk to you, forgive me guys, I'm going to talk to you about Brexit for 2 minutes, because that is a massive engine of our client base and its demands to be here. And my second job is to connect 650 institutions that we've worked with for nearly 30 years to bring their capital into particularly the Nasdaq capital markets. So in summary, I have just 2 jobs to do. Bring English-speaking clients, corporates into the Baltic region, and particularly Lithuania. And secondly, bring international capital in. So perhaps now you can understand why I talk about evangelizing about the great work that these guys have done at Nasdaq. Our job is to just be a small cog in that huge Nasdaq wheel. So I'll just leave you with that, because that is absolutely critical to our business. A lot of people wonder why a British-born 30-year capital markets professional now physically lives in Vilnius. I'm sure it's crossing your mind. And And there are some very practical reasons that we chose Vilnius over 5 other locations in the EU. We're very impressed and remain very impressed with what is on offer in this city and in this country. But it's also a bit about changing the conversation for capital markets, particularly for our Commonwealth, Canadian, British, South African, Australian, New Zealand clients. If we give them the same financial solutions that they've had for the last 20 years, where often London has been their home in terms of how they see finance, well, what are we doing differently? The UK faces enormous headwinds today. I'm sure you're all bored with what's going on there, but I am. But certainly those headwinds mean that we've got to do something a bit different. And so that message has resounded with me throughout my career, and we have to take some different paths to make a success of the next 10 to 20 years. I mentioned to you, I want to just sow the seed, ladies and gentlemen, to what's coming in terms of an investment opportunity to invest into Salomon. I'm not going to run through all those points. You can all read them. It's very straightforward. The most important thing is Q3, private placement and listing, and LHV and Tallinn, our very good friends, are acting as our investment bank. We are very proud to be the 4th only pan-Baltic certified advisor for Nasdaq, but we can't represent ourselves. So LHV will be representing us for our listing. So more information will be coming on those details to those of you who are interested, but I just want to signal that it's coming. I'm going to just jump to here. So this Brexit position is really incredibly important. So we have 32 British corporates contracted right now with over 300 in our pipeline. These are SME corporates with revenues between 5 and 600 million euros. All of them have 2 requirements. One is they need an EU footprint, because the departure of UK from EU, as you know, is now set hard for the end of October, and in reality will be sooner. And the second aspect is the London capital markets for an SME are essentially closed. If I try to raise capital for a business today with revenues even of the height of Herr Jugel's company, it is really difficult to get that deal done. So these are really good businesses we're handling. These are profitable businesses with great pre-tax and post-tax numbers, but they have a need for capital and they have a need for an EU footprint. So the importance of Brexit to our business model as a corporate finance advisor is critical. We're very fortunate. In fact, Valmira Glass is in fact a client of ours. We're beginning to pick up some really interesting work in the Baltic area. But make no mistake, our primary job is starting to move foreign direct investment in from English-speaking countries where the client, the corporate, has considered London to be its traditional home. As a born Brit, this feels very strange. I was born in 1970, so all I grew up with is joining things. EEC, as was, became EU, and being a member of every international organisation, just like the 49 that you are in Lithuania. To see the UK now leaving clubs feels very, very odd. I personally, I'm sure you can tell from my rhetoric, I hate it. But as a businessman, this is an extraordinary, once-in-a-career opportunity for us to lift up those businesses and create a new footprint for them. Many clients often, as I'm sure you will find in your businesses, say to us, what is the single thing that would make my company appoint you guys to raise capital for me and indeed to advise me, particularly if they're going through crisis? Because advice in a crisis is the best advice. And actually what it comes down to for us is that my team and I, we've been in the trenches as entrepreneurs, not just as bankers. My own career, 28, 29 years, first half working for investment banks and institutions. But since 2004, running my own businesses in finance, I've been there when you've got to make payroll. I've been there when there might be some threatened litigation. I've been there through all of those horrible things that entrepreneurs face. So when we talk to an entrepreneur, they know we get it. We're not just sitting there as a financial markets operator. We've been in the trenches, and that's incredibly important. I mentioned just over there that, we think the UK will leave before its new backstop date. I think that is coming. That propels the opportunity for us to be in front of those English-speaking customers right now. We have done 80 days, 80, of travel since January 1, talking about the Baltic opportunity for English-speaking entrepreneurs. But make no mistake, we're open for business in the Baltics too. It's a really simple, virtuous circle, isn't it? Brexit creates opportunities for UK businesses to depart. Lithuania and the Baltics wants inflow. And there's obviously a lot of support from other agencies, EBRD, EU, local government. Interesting to see that your new president has some strong views around this exact topic, which are very favourable. So the opportunity for us to connect the dots is very straightforward. Thinking about us as an investment, we have, please forgive me, the hyperbole, but we have a world-class brand. We come with a lot of scars and badges. We've been there through financial crisis. I started in this game when the Berlin Wall still existed. We understand that it's a cyclical world. Our business operates on a recurring revenue basis. As an investor, a shareholder, recurring revenues are always what you first look for when looking at a financial business. We've talked about Brexit. Critically, if we do not attract a single new customer, we have a full order book for about 3 years right now. This is the only time in my career I've ever had a 3-year full order book. And we think that translates to some interesting shareholder value for those participating in our private placement later this year. I'll just run to a couple of details here just so you get a sense. All global revenues of our business and our tax home is here. I live here. Our management board is made up of 75% of which are Lithuanian. We are not here just for a 3-year stay. We are here to stay. We have representative offices in 3 other places to help us be close to our clients. Westport, Connecticut, north of New York, London and Hong Kong. Those offices exist for contact and communication reasons. But the work is done here at our Basanovicius office on the other side of the river. So think of us, please, as a Lithuanian financial services business. All our revenues, all our tax is paid here. We talked a few minutes ago about why here. I think this is incredibly important. You're aware of all those facts because you live here. But I think the confidence that this country can continue to develop because of some of those things is incredibly important to our journey with you in Vilnius and in the Baltics. I think that often, to use a British expression, the strength of this country is hidden. A light under a bushel is a very English expression, but it often is. And yet the ability to have great capital market performances for all my colleagues on the front row and the rest of you for the next decade is very significant. It may not always feel it, but it's there. And I remind you that we looked at a number of different EU markets as to where we would put the headquarters of Salomon. So, ladies and gentlemen, just to wrap up, corporate finance business looking after SMEs that need money and need EU footprint. Experienced team that's been in entrepreneur land as well as financial land. World-class brand, here to stay. We're not here just for a short stay. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening.